research in cryptozoology, we have to look at the evidence, and evidence about aliens and possible flying crafts, and we're now moving on to UFOs, is referenced right back in time to prehistoric times, in cave paintings, in fact. But as we not have any cavemen here to interrogate, we have to leave that open to interpretation. What is more accurate, however, is depictions and references to possible UFOs or extraterrestrials during biblical times. And during ancient times, I've examined now several paintings that depict some sort of flying object or beings in flying objects in the background of paintings. Now, one of the paintings that I looked at was the Madonna and Saint Giovannino, which is a painting done during biblical times, during the 15th century, this painting, and it can be seen in the Lossare Museum in Florence, Italy. And this interesting painting is of the Virgin Mary with Saint Giovannino. And in the background, now this is the interesting bit, if you examine the painting, in the background, on the right-hand side, is a UFO, a flying object, and it looks like a disc, and it's emitting rays of light. And just under that disc, again in the background, is a man shielding his eyes from these rays, and a dog barking at this unusual object.
Ah, right.
Another painting that I examined was a painting of Jesus crucified on a cross. And in the background of the painting were two UFOs, one on either side, emitting beams of light. They look like flying saucers. It's interesting, however, that artists during the 13th and 18th century, if they wanted to put something unnatural like this into a painting, and many of them obviously did, wouldn't be able to put it in the foreground or make it prominent in any way, because they would be classed as devil worshippers.
That's true.
They would be burnt at the stake, beheaded, etc. So they would have to make references to these alien or paranormal references in the background of a painting.
That's really interesting, isn't it? But a lot of people now will be looking at Googling all these religious images and having
Well, we had that on the last program, Sea Monsters. We had a lot of people doing their research,
Yes.
which is why we went on to aliens now.
And for instance, coming to modern day and things in the background, it's Baghdad, a scene of Baghdad, and there's something in the sky there. That,
Well, exactly. Now, there was actually two pictures that I sent to you, but I know that only one came through to you. Okay. Now, this is a picture of a military installation and an industrial site in Baghdad, and there's a disc in the sky in Baghdad. Now, looking at it, you say, okay, it could be a hoax, but the second picture was the interesting one, because this was a very high-resolution picture, and the second picture zooms in right up to this disc, and it looks like a proper metallic disc, and it doesn't look 2D in any way, it looks totally 3D. And when I was doing my research on UFOs, you know, on the internet, there's tons of stuff and tons of pictures. And the reason why I sent you this one in Baghdad is because it was interesting. Because Baghdad is a poor country, and it would be less likely for anybody to create a hoax.
Very true.
Than, say, a picture that might originate from, say, America, where a lot of hoaxes.
Where they've got the technology to be able to do all sorts.
Exactly, exactly. So this was interesting to me because this was a wartime picture of Baghdad, and it was a very high-resolution picture. And the second picture, which zoomed right into the object, you could clearly see it was a disc-like, unidentified flying object, which was quite interesting.
Very interesting. Lots of speculation, lots of theories, and
well, the thing
good
is,
subject.
Karen, what we have to look at is this: examine the evidence. We live on a planet of approximately 9 other planets in a solar system which orbit the sun. The sun is a star. There are about as many stars in the universe as there are grains of sand on every beach in the world. That's a lot of stars. Almost every star has satellites orbiting it. Now, it is quite plausible that out of these billions and zillions of stars, that it's possible that there is a few other planets that harbor life forms and not only Earth. Now, most of these will probably be microscopic organisms that have no technology of traveling to other planets, but it is possible that there are 1 or 2 planets, or maybe a lot more, where the technology of its inhabitants is surpassed human technology, and therefore they're able to travel to the world. Now, the fact is that their references to this date back to ancient times, so these references must be coming from somewhere. And why is this such a huge subject?